How did the link up with the Guns N' Roses originally start then?
Well, it started with Axl Rose walking into my video shoot of Dead Yellow Rock and Roll in '89 in New York. He was just happened to be walking by, and I'm sure it was higher guidance. He was meant to be there. He asked some people what's going on, and somebody said it's Michael Monroe filming a video. So he came to introduce himself, and then we got along so well that he ended up on doing a cameo on the video, and then we became friends, and then they flew me over to LA to jam on some. For example, there was a magazine called Rit magazine. They had a party, and they had me come up to play harp on, like we did the Heartbreak Hotel, and that's where I met Alice Cooper for the first time too. Party, and so we became friends, and whenever they came to New York, we would hang out, and one night we were out having dinner with Axl and Slash and their management, and me and Slash ended up coming to my apartment later at night, and the management were really nervous. They said, "Oh, Michael Monroe, my reputation." They thought, "Oh, this is bad news. Slash is going to go off with Michael into the night in New York. What's going to happen? We're going to end up, no one's going to hear of them for a month." But we were cool. We had a good time hanging out of my flat, and yeah. And whenever Axl came to New York, he would always call, and we'd go out to dinner, and it was always really a nice gentlemanly, and we had great conversations, really deep conversations with spiritual stuff, and probably stuff that the regular LA people wouldn't.
Yeah.
Guys in LA were more like about chicks and more superficial. So me and Axl then, when we met, we had nice conversations over dinner, and really deep, really cool stuff. And he had his tarot cards done for the first time when we were at the restaurant called Nirvana. It was an Indian restaurant on Central Park South, which had took an elevator to a penthouse, and there was a view of the park. And
wow.
My favorite, apparently, it was Robert Plant's favorite Indian in New York too. So they had live music, some sitar and tabla players there every Saturday, and there was a tarot card reader. So said, "You think I should have my card set?" I said, "Yeah, go for it." And had this woman do his cards, and he thought it was helpful. It was good, and we had some really cool conversations. There was one where he said they had a video. He was on stage at a show once, and he felt somebody push him from behind, where he flew ahead, and I was like, "Whoa!" But then he didn't see anybody there, and they watched the video, and they see him like fly forward, but there was nobody there. So I mean, he had some serious demons, chasing them. I was like, "Wow, that's heavy, man." So yeah, really cool, smart, and smart guy, and really polite, and always friendly to me. I mean, I don't care what they say. I've heard the stories. I love the guy. I think he's great, and I think he's doing a great job now with opening up for them in London. I thought he was singing great, and I know they canceled a gig in Glasgow after because some voice problems. To me, it was great, really good. And, I'm so glad that they're still touring, and because they're a real band, and they're great.
Yeah. What's Alice like to hang out with? I mean, what's he like?
Wonderful. He's so sweet. You'll be surprised. He was like the sweetest guy you'll ever meet. He's just like so polite, so kind. And the first time I was at that Rip magazine party, and the first time we met, I knew Alice was there, and there was a bunch of people there, and I was like looking around, and then somebody pulled my sleeve and said, "Hey, Mike." I was like, "Oh, Alice, wow." Hey, and like, "Come on, sit down." And he says, "Hey, first of all, he thanked me for speaking so highly of these records, because I'd mentioned that Billion Dollar Babies or Love You to Death are my favorite records of all time, some of the best records ever made." And he was like, "Thank you for speaking so highly of my records." And he said, "Shall we take some photos then?" Before you even get to ask him. And he was so lovely. I mean, this summer, opening for him those shows in Europe, it was so great. It was the best times since the Motorhead tour. That's the best tour I've been on. The Alice shows, because they were the whole crew and the band and everybody, they're so sweet and so accommodating and kind. And Alice was on my birthday, like the best birthday ever. I was 17. It was actually June 17th when I turned 60, and we were opening for Alice in Zwickau in Germany. So Alice knew it was my birthday, so he and other nights too, he invited me up to sing the second verse of "School's Out" and out. So this time he invited me up, and he he knew it was my birthday. you know, he has those balloons that have like confetti inside, and he pops them with his sword. So he gave me my own sword. So I always would pop those balloons. I was like, wow, this is a dangerous combination. Me with a sword. But then he at the end of school's out, he had a cake brought up for me.
Oh,
Birthday cake with this guy Kyler, who's his assistant, he's dressed like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. You know, it comes up with a cake, and Alice sang "Happy Birthday" to me with the audience. I was like, wow, that was the best birthday ever. I was like, whoa, he's so kind-hearted, such a nice guy, and his wife Cheryl is amazing too, and they're both the coolest couple ever. I mean, me and Cheryl is the dancer, you know, in the show as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So she does the splits. We always do like, okay, you still do the splits? Okay, let's do it. We always update our splits photo. We're doing the splits. And it's amazing at her age too. It's like they're forever young. I mean, you can't tell what age they are if they're ageless. They're like totally amazing people. I love them. I love them dearly. Got these knives. This one has, it's what Alice uses. This got his autograph on it too, but he has dartboard in the backstage, and he's like, "Are you throwing darts?" "Oh no, target practice." He's like, "I'll teach you too." He says, and at the end of a tour, he had he came up to me and says, "Now, Michael, I've only given this to about 5 people. As Bernie Taupin was one, and one was Nick Cave, and this stiletto."
Oh, wow.
This I was like, "Wow, Alice Cooper," and you know, with the pearl handle and everything. I was, "Wow, this is so cool." The stiletto from Alice Cooper. So I posted a picture with this on the Facebook, and somebody, of course, said, so I said, I got this cool stiletto. Yeah, I got this cool switchblade from Alice Cooper. And so somebody said, of course, somebody commented, "What's cool about switchblade?" "Oh, it's violent." I said, if Alice Cooper gives you a switchblade, it's freaking cool, okay? Alice is the sweetest, he's the greatest, and I hope we get to do more shows with him.
Let's find another name that you've already mentioned, Bob Ezrin. I mean, he came over, he watched you guys play. I mean, this is a guy that had worked on the wall with Pink Floyd. He'd worked with Alice Cooper on many albums, and Kiss, and I don't know, Aerosmith, and Lou Reed, and Peter Gabriel. I mean, honestly, he'd worked with some huge superstars. Now, what was your feeling when you found out that he wanted to work with you guys and he wanted to take you over to New York to record? And I mean, how must have that felt at the time?
I thought it was brilliant. I mean, he was like holy, you know, he's a holy man. And he had done all the earlier Alice Cooper albums. They're like my absolute favorites. I was like so happy that I know Stiv wanted to have him produce the Lost of a New Church. And I asked him why he didn't produce it. It's just the name was too long. He was into producing Hanoi, and we really needed that at the time. I think it was, he felt about Hanoi like he kind of felt the same as he felt about the Alice Cooper band. It was going to be a longer relationship. We were planning to make the next album with him and the next one too, and it would have been a great relationship. So he came to see our gig, and then he wanted to meet me. He was staying with David Gilmour's house in Maida Vale. Yeah, and they were working on the About Face album, which is actually a great record. It's one of my favorites too. So he was at Gilmour's house. Gilmour wasn't home, but it was one of his 3 houses, I think, and it was a cool place. So Andy was kind of agitated. He was like, "Why does he want to meet you? I write most of the songs." And he was like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, he'd seen our show." So Bob just wanted to talk to me about what he saw on stage. And for me, he had some good tips about, you know, how he had, you know, like some moves, like what I do with my hands. If I get people to clap and then I do something else, it's confusing to them. And I just give them time, and then, you know, put my hands down so people, because they follow your hands, and little tips like that. And he said, "How many times did you get up on a PA?" And I said, "I don't know, maybe one, maybe 2, twice, 3 times." I counted 7. I said, "Yeah, so?" He says, "Well, you know, you go up there once, people go, 'Yeah, wow.' And the second time maybe, but after that, you loses the impact. So you said you don't want to do it too much." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good point," you know. So things like that he wanted to talk to me about. And he also wanted to talk about Andy. He says, "There's one guy, it's a difficult case, but he reminds me of Glenn Buxton, the Alice Cooper band, but I can handle him." "Well, you mean Andy?" I just, "Yep." so he was, but he dealt with Andy well. You know, he had his peculiar sides, and He was really good with him in the studio, and I remember Andy being pissy about stuff like, "Wow, I can make you play that solo over and over again." Then he combines. I don't like the way he combined it. It was like, but it was still okay. And even at the end of the recording session, I mean, we learned. It was like a learning experience. I learned a hell of a lot. We all learned. That's when we all became professional, so to speak.
Mhm.
With Bob, and he ran a tight ship, but he had a great sense of humor, and it was really I had a good time too. And I was really skinny at the time. I came to a point where I stopped everything what I've been doing, whatever, speed and hash and smoking and stuff. And I realized that singing, because Bob maybe takes vocal lessons, and I realized it's very physical, singing and performing on stage. That the better shape I'm in, the better I do it. So
Yeah,
I
of course.
decided to quit everything. I'm drinking. I never liked anyways, but I just decided to start exercising and being healthy and good shape. And I didn't know how to eat to balance that. So I got really skinny. I was I was like really skin and bone. And people thought, "What are you doing, speed or something? You're so skinny." I was like, no, I've never been healthier in my life. You know. But I started swimming every day and whenever I could. And then even Bob was saying, "Come on, have a donut. Come on, you need to put on some weight before you go on the road. You can't look like that." But I was still, I guess without knowing, I guess I had some kind of liquid diet, I guess, because I would get up, I'd go run to the swimming pool, swim for an hour or two maybe, and then have some muesli and then some salad for dinner and yogurt, and that's all, and so I lost all my weight. But it was I guess I was anorexic in a way a little bit too, and maybe it was my way of saying, up yours to everybody. What's this? I'm skinnier than Andy, even though Andy was skinny, he never had the muscle tone because it's the only exercise he did, But it was really a learning experience, and we did the pre-production in at first we did some in London and then in Toronto, and then we recorded the basic tracks at the record plant in York, and then went back to Toronto to finish the album, and it was great because it was in the studio building. There was a swimming pool there, so I went to swim. And I remember when Andy we had Rod O'Brien also sitting in, as the engineer, and he when we were recording the vocals for High School, I was really belting it out, and it's like a machine gun kind of vocal, and Andy was like, "Whoa, Mike!" It was in a control room. It's like, I guess that swimming is good for you after all. It's like all that exercising, that was killer take. And I was like, there you go. Thank you. And the guys almost resented me for not drinking 24 hours like they did. Remember, there was a fire alarm at the hotel in Toronto. It was like it was a high-rise building and like many 70 floors or something. And then I've heard a fire alarm, and I was in the bath, and I was like, my hair was wet, and I was put on my jeans and t-shirt and went outside and freezing. It was a cold winter, and then there actually was a fire in the kitchen, but then they got it under control, so everybody went back into the building. I was like, wait a minute, where did the guys go? What happened with them? And I went to knock on whoever's room it was. They were all in the same room. They didn't give a shit. They were like drinking the same. I was like, bang the door. You guys realize there was a fire emergency just now? Oh, come on, lighten up. What are you worried about? Come on, chill, man. Have a drink. Okay, whatever. They were sitting there. They didn't give a hoot. They just kept on partying. But yeah, so that was a really, really great experience with Bob. And Bob was really upset when Russell died. He was really, really upset about that. He was angry and he was mad. He was like, God damn it, why did that happen? And because he really wanted to work with us, and we would have worked with him in the future. And he taught me how to, this warm-up thing with my voice. When I was husky and before the vocal of Full of Our Broken Dreams, I said, my voice is shot and I feel like shit. And he said, hey, come on, man. Okay, come here, do this. And he showed me this kind of exercise where you massage your vocal cords and you sing in a low key, low tone, for a while, softly, and then you get your voice back. And he says, okay, sing like that for an hour. We're going out to dinner. I was like, come on, man. Then, but after a while, I was like, wait a minute, my voice came back, and he was right. So he came back. So how you feeling? I said, oh, I feel good. Okay, let's do the vocal. So he was really good, like a coach like that. And I remember us doing 4-part harmonies for the Boiler song, the Boiler, Me Boiler and Me, because he loved Razzle and his Cockney accent. He wanted to have that on the record and had Razzle speak on Cutting Corners and in Don't You Believe Me too. But then it had the Boiler song. We had the 4-part harmony, and when we were doing it, all 4 of us around the mics doing the vocal, and Razzle was standing there with a beer. Bob storms into the room with a fire extinguisher, go with the foam spraying on everybody. Everybody else jumped up. We all were like, "What?" But Razzle just kept standing there. "Hello, Bobo. How you doing, babe? What's up with the foam?" It's like all covered in foam. He didn't move a bit. It was just like, "How you doing, Bobo?" But and they had a little love and hate relationship too with the drums. I mean, Bob was really whipping him, and it was cool because he didn't use a click track, but he had this cowbell or this pad. Actually, it wasn't a cowbell; it was a pad that he had taped up with that everybody had in their headphones, and he was hitting him with a drumstick. So he was keeping the beat.
Okay.
You know, which added more like a human touch as opposed to a click track.
Yeah.
So he kept the beat like that, so it lived. So that was a really smart thing to do, because then it kept on. It kept the beat, but it wasn't machine-like, you know. So that was really cool. And Bob was he was whipping Razzle, because Razzle wasn't used to working so hard, but he got everything out of Razzle that he needed, and in the end, Razzle was fine. It was great. It was a great job. So yeah, it was a
Absolutely
really
fascinating. Love hearing these sorts of stories.
Then little Steven came over to produce the Lord's Prayer song single, and then I had been a fan of Steven's since the Voice of America album was a big thing for me. So I met him, and I thought, you know, these are the 2 coolest people, you know, the only people I need to hang with. And Steven came. He had never heard of Hanoi, and he actually Steve showed him a video of Hanoi. I think it was Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and Steven flipped over it. It was like, wow, this
Understandable. Yeah.
So then I said, well, you know, unfortunately we broke up, and the drummer died and all. So then Steven from then on, Steven, you know, wanted to support my solo career, and he came to play some 12-string guitar on my demos that I was making at the time, and sang some backing vocals. And then he invited me and Stiv to be part of the Sun City project. The Sun City.
Nice. Yeah.
Right. Remember, that was like the song that made everyone aware of what was going on in South Africa, and no bands could go and play the holiday resort and make millions, pretending that they didn't know what was going on. Apartheid, and Mandela was in jail and all that. So I was really proud to be part of that. Sang some backing vocals with Stiv, and then Steve and we flew over to London, to New York to make the video. We be a part of the Sun City video, and that was really cool. The group singing in Washington Square Park with you know, everybody from Bob Dylan to Bono and Bob Geldof and Bruce Springsteen, and Miles Davis even played on the song. It was like Joe Ramone and Run DMC and all these cool people, some of the coolest and biggest names in rock: Ringo Starr, Zach Starkey, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, Pete Townsend. All these people. It was like, this is where I belong. I thought, I want to move here, and I want to just restart.
Living the dream. Absolutely.
Start over in New York, you know, start my solo career. Because Steve was the one. I said, you know, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I said, well, start a solo career. Said, well, I guess so. You know? And that's when I started. Like, I came onto my own as a songwriter, because I always Hanoi, and Andy had some great stuff always, and he always said, oh, I got a better one here. So I kind of let him write songs, and I didn't, you know, write much myself. But then during my solo career, I came onto my own as a songwriter, and based on my admiration of Stiv and Little Steven's Voice of America, Laws of Miniatures, and Stiv, and then the punk thing, telling the truth, writing relevant lyrics, and lyrics that meant something and could move people and maybe raise questions. And you know, Stiv always thought that your lyrics are the deadliest weapon, or tools for positive action. So it was just as important as the music. And so I started working on my solo career in New York, restarted my life, and that's how that came about.